So it's about 6:30 in the morning and I've just arrived at the Grand Canyon South Rim. I'm at the visitor center. Here, I'll show you I'm in the visitor center parking lot, and I'm going to embark on something today that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I'm going to take an inner canyon hiking trip. I have been in the canyon. I've been to the canyon hundreds of times. I have been down below the rim a few times, but it's been many years since I've been more than just a couple miles below the rim. And this trip I'm expecting should be about 12 miles. It's a kind of a loop. Go down one trail, cross over, come back on another trail. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a little bit, but I'm really excited. And this is just going to be a day trip. I would have loved to have made it an overnight backpacking trip, but I didn't really have a whole lot of time for planning in order to get that all organized. So this was kind of a little bit of a last minute, spur of the moment sort of thing. So should be fun. Looking forward to it. Weather conditions in the Grand Canyon can be very extreme, with 20-degree temperature fluctuations from the top of the canyon rim down to the bottom. So it's always important to check your weather and see what you're going to be looking at for the day. Well, we're right here, visitor center. So we're going to start at the South Kaibab Trail. That's going to take us into the canyon. And when we come out, it'll be right here, coming up the Bright Angel Trail. So we're parked here. I'm going to take a shuttle bus to get there. Then when I come out here, take a blue bus to get back here. They also offer a hiker special, which starts here in the morning, picks up in the backcountry office, then at the visitor center, and it goes straight to the South Kaibab Trailhead. That leaves like every hour on the hour in the morning. But I elected, since I didn't get here, I would have to wait, probably another, I think I just missed it. I'd have to wait another 30, 45 minutes for the next bus. So I'm electing to take the orange route over to there, and then when I come back, the blue route to there. Here's a trail map of the route that I'm going to take. We're going to start at the South Kaibab Trailhead and follow that down till we get to a place called the Tip-Off. From there, we're going to cut across the Tonto Trail to Indian Gardens, and then from Indian Gardens, back up the Bright Angel Trail up to the rim. So from the visitor center, I'm taking the orange route going eastbound to the South Kaibab Trailhead. The South Kaibab Trail was constructed between 1924 and 1928 by the National Park Service, probably in support also with the Fred Harvey Company. And it was built in order to compete with the Bright Angel Trail, which was owned by Ralph Cameron, and he collected a toll for everybody that went down the Bright Angel Trail. So the Park Service, well, the Bright Angel Trail was created before the Grand Canyon was a national park. So Ralph Cameron was kind of grandfathered in, and the Park Service, when they were established Grand Canyon National Park, they were upset at Ralph Cameron charging toll to all of their guests at the national park. So they built the South Kaibab Trail in competition of Ralph Cameron's Bright Angel Trail. So here we are. We are at the trailhead for the South Kaibab Trail. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm fixing to get started here in just a few minutes. And it's probably, in the low 30s temperature rise right now. On the car driving in, it said it was about 32 degrees. The sun has been up for about half hour now, about 30 minutes past sunrise. And it's starting to warm up a little bit. The high here at the rim is expected to be in the 60s today, but we're going to drop down there in elevation, down to about 3,500 feet. So we'll drop about 3,500 feet to get to about 3,500 feet. And it should be about 20 degrees warmer down towards the bottom. So I'm in long sleeves and long pants, but I'm sure I'm going to be shedding those pretty quickly. So this first section of the trail is all switchbacks as we try and descend down here into the canyon. The Park Service recommends that you don't go past Skeleton Point and back in one day. That's 3 miles each way, 6-mile round trip. This is Point. We're not quite a mile down from the trailhead, just under a mile. And this sitting up here on the rock is a juvenile California condor. I've seen him circling a little bit, and it's amazing how close he is to the trail. Point is also the first spot along the trail where the canyon really opens up. You get away from the ridge and you really get those big panoramic views. Here we're getting a look at some of the construction techniques they used to build this trail, how they had to drill holes in the rock and then blast away in order to excavate a clear path. So this is a spot known as Cedar Ridge. I think we've come about 1.5 miles on the trail, and you can see the rim up there. That's how far we've descended. The canyon has opened up. Great view spot. So down here, this flat area down there is known as the Tonto Plateau. And you can see a trail heading out that spot to place called Plateau Point, which is a river overlook. The Bright Angel Trail is going to go up a side canyon up over there. We're going to descend down here to the Tonto Plateau, and there's a trail called the Tonto Trail that runs along that plateau throughout a good chunk of the canyon here on the south side. It's called the Tonto Trail, and we're going to descend till we pick up the Tonto Trail. Then we're going to take it across to where that trail is over there to Plateau Point, and then connect that up to the Bright Angel Trail and head up to Indian Gardens and up to the rim. Now if you look right through here, you see a little crack, and you see some trees in there, little green spot, a little bit of color. That is where the Bright Angel Trail comes up from the river on its way to Indian Gardens. That little spot in there is an area known as a Devil's Corkscrew. There's a lot of advantages to taking the Bright Angel Trail versus the South Kaibab Trail. The South Kaibab Trail is considered to be a little bit steeper, so a lot of people go down the South Kaibab and up the Bright Angel. Bright Angel does have water along the trail, so places to stop for water, which the South Kaibab does not. But the Bright Angel Trail is back in a side canyon over here, and the views are not nearly as spectacular as you get from the South Kaibab Trail. This is by far the more scenic and the prettier of the two trails. So it's taken me a little over an hour to get here. It's 8:15 right now. I've already been here for a good 5 minutes. An hour and a half, I'm sorry, 1.5 miles to go. Let's see, come 1.5 miles in a little over an hour. That's not exactly record pace for me, but I've stopped a lot to take a lot of photos. And my theory is, if you're going to make the trip to come into the Grand Canyon, there's people that'll go rim to rim in a day, or even rim to rim to rim in a day. You have to enjoy it. I don't see any need to push myself or show that I'm capable of doing anything in a record time. I'm not running a marathon. If I'm going to make that much effort in order to come into the canyon, I'm going to take my time so I can enjoy it. So I picked a pretty good, what I think would be a pretty good, comfortable day hike for mileage, and I can stop along the way, I can sightsee, and I can really enjoy myself. It's also getting to be kind of warm. The sun's been up for a little bit. We've dropped in elevation. Things are really warming up. So now's a good time to start shedding some of these layers and take a little bit of a snack, a little bit of a water break before I keep going. I have never been on the South Kaibab Trail past Cedar Ridge, so this is new territory for me. I've been in the Grand Canyon a few times, but like I said when I started, it's been quite a few years since I've been past Cedar Ridge. So I've got some idea what I'm getting into, but definitely something I haven't done a lot. All right, so here we are at Skeleton Point. It's about 9:30, so it's taken us about 2.5 hours to get here. Got a little glimpse of the muddy Colorado down there. That green spot right across there, that's where Phantom Ranch is, and the North Kaibab Trail to take you up to the North Rim, which is right up there. It's 9:47, so 2 hours and 45 minutes or so on the trail. So this is a spot called the Tip-Off, and it was extremely windy when I got here, so I'm doing this as a voiceover later. But this is the spot where the South Kaibab Trail makes its final descent, drops off below the Tonto Plateau, makes its final descent down to the Colorado River so that it can cross the river and head over to Phantom Ranch. It's also the spot where the Tonto Trail splits off. This direction there is looking east towards Grandview Point. There's a little shelter here to relax, get some shade. And then this direction is west towards Indian Gardens. That's the way we're going to head. I got here about 10:30. That was about 3.5 hours on the trail, 4.5 miles. And after a little rest stop, get some snacks and some water, it's time to head out. when you're up on the rim and you're looking down at the Tonto Plateau, it looks like everything down here is flat. Clearly, it isn't when you get down here. It has lots of hills and washes to walk through. There certainly is a different kind of beauty when you get down here to the Inner Canyon. We've got a really good look from here of Phantom Ranch, which is just across the river. There's quite a few people that will hike to Phantom Ranch and back up to the rim in one day. They come down the South Kaibab, go up the Bright Angel. That, I think, is about 17 miles if you do that all in one day. It's a lot, but plenty of people do it. Right here's a good look of what they refer to as the Devil's Corkscrew, which is where the Bright Angel Trail comes up out of the river up to the Tonto Plateau, and it climbs up through this side canyon before it gets to Indian Gardens, which will be over here on the left. The Grand Canyon is a desert, a hot, dry, arid desert. It can get 115 to 120 degrees here in the summertime down at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. There's not a whole lot of natural water that you find down at the bottom of the Grand Canyon other than the Colorado River. So when you come across a little oasis like this, you have to stop and enjoy it. My Fitbit says I've come about 2.5 miles from the tip-off on the Tonto Trail. So probably a little over halfway to Indian Gardens. Well, I found another little oasis. I guess I went probably not quite half a mile from the last one. This one's got a little bit more water to it. Not as much shade right now. It's got plenty of cottonwood trees, but it's still a little early in the season. Cottonwood trees haven't fully leafed out yet, but oh my gosh, it's a pretty spot for the desert. I can't imagine Indian Gardens is too much farther. Probably a mile, mile and a half. I'm gathering climb out of this wash, or out of this creek bed, up to the top of the plateau again there, and then go around the next point, and that should be it. Well, it wasn't quite exactly right. I've got one more dry wash to get through. Not an oasis, just a dry wash. But we're moving right along. If you're squeamish about heights, this is not a good spot to hang out. I bet you get a good monsoon rain, this thing is roaring. That's one heck of a waterfall right down there. So I decided to stop, turn around, and look up so I can get my bearings. Right up there, I believe, is the Yavapai Geology Station. So that would probably mean now the point is somewhere probably right up there. And that's probably Yaqui Point over there. And so this trail, the South Kaibab Trail, came down that ridge down there and then crossed over down the other side. And that's where I picked up the Tonto Trail over there. Well, I think we're on the home stretch. And you know, incidentally, I've only seen 3 people on the Tonto Trail in this section that I've been hiking. 2 of them, one couple, they were going the other way. I saw them quite a while back. And then at the last oasis, right as I was getting ready to leave, there was one fellow that caught up to me with a pack, and he stopped just as I was leaving. So, pretty good solitude out here. This looks like the telephone line going down to Phantom Ranch. It may still be in service since there is no cell service inside the canyon, and I know Phantom Ranch does have an active telephone.
Well, here we are, Indian Gardens. Indian Gardens is created by a spring that comes out of the rock and develops Garden Creek. So that's why you have all the cottonwood trees. It flows all the time. It's a reliable water source. It's also the confluence of multiple trails. Over there is the Tonto Trail continuing on to go west, and somewhere out right in there is probably a junction to go out to Plateau Point. Plateau Point is right out there. That's where you can stand on the edge of a cliff and look straight down at the Colorado River. And then the Bright Angel Trail coming up from Phantom Ranch will come up right here, and we're going to junction here in just a little bit. So Indian Gardens has a campground, a ranger station, a helipad. It's pretty well maintained. It even has a pumping station. See, the South Rim does not have its own natural water supply. So, well, back in the Fred Harvey days, when the Fred Harvey Company was developing the restaurants and hotels up at the village, they had the Santa Fe Railway haul water in by tank cars that came from 100 miles away in order to support the restaurants. Then in the 1960s, the Park Service built a pipeline from Roaring Springs, which is up Bright Angel Creek, past Phantom Ranch, so towards on the north rim, on the north side of the Colorado River on Bright Angel Creek. Water flows by gravity from there here to Indian Gardens, but in order to get it 3,500 feet up the rim, they have to have big pumps to pump it from here all the way up to support the village. So I arrived here probably right about 2 o'clock. So it took me 3 hours to get here across the Tonto Trail from the drop-off. In 5-7 hours total on the hiking trail. And I've come probably 8-9 miles, I guess. I'm not sure exactly, somewhere in that neighborhood. Now normally I hike about 2 miles an hour. So I'm running a lot slower than I normally would. It's amazing how hard the downhills are. People think the downhills are going to be easy, but the downhills are hard on the knees, they're hard on the calves, hard on the joints, the toes. And I took it pretty slow coming down the hills. I didn't want to twist an ankle or sprain a knee or do anything that was going to jeopardize this trip. So I really took my time. But I've got all day. I mean, I've still got 5 hours left of sunlight. I still have the hardest part of the trip. I have to go 4.5 miles to climb up 3,500 feet to the rim. But I've got plenty of time to do it. So no rush, take my time. Like I said earlier, take your time, enjoy the scenery, enjoy being here. And that, I think, is the most important. As we start heading up the Bright Angel Trail towards the rim, there's a spot here where the water pipeline crosses the wash. The pipeline is basically going to follow the Bright Angel Trail all the way up to the rim, and that's why we're going to be able to get rest stops where we have water accessible along the side of the trail that feeds right in off the pipeline. One of the great things about the Bright Angel Trail is that it can have some shade, especially in the afternoon. This is the 3 Mile Rest House. They call it the 3 Mile Rest House because it's 3 miles from the top. It's about 4 o'clock. I left Indian Gardens at 3 o'clock. So I've come 1.5 miles, 3 miles to go. I think I'm close to the halfway point. You can see 3 Mile Rest House down there. And if you look up here, I believe that's the 1.5 mile rest house. Right there on that ledge, you see a shiny spot, probably from the roof. All right, here's 1.5 mile rest house. Toilets over there. They're closed right now for remodeling or something. But the rest house itself is right there. So that means we got 1.5 miles to get back up to the top. It's a little after 5 o'clock. So almost there. So I finally made it out about 6:30, so 3.5 hours to get up out of the canyon, 4.5 miles. Man, that's a rough hike. I'm pretty whooped. I immediately jumped on a shuttle bus, brought me back here to the visitor center to get in the car. That was about a 30-minute bus ride, and I'm ready to find something to eat and head home. See you guys later.